Hey there, welcome back to Economic Observations. Today is Monday, the 9th of November. A beautiful day here in Massachusetts, like 79 degrees today. Had to spend it outside. Such an anomaly in November. We've been really enjoying the weather, and I wish it can continue like this for the next 3 months, but we know that that's not going to happen. The storm is raging, folks. Not only is winter coming, but we have a new president of the United States, and we have the same old Senate right now, unless something happens in Georgia in early January. Right now, it looks like gridlock is what we are going to be up against for the next 2 years. Stimulus, you know, that thing that people were promising us for a long time, that $1,200 check, extended unemployment, moratoriums on student loans, evictions are looming, rental aid, money for the states, money for COVID, money for the schools. Well, it looks like it's not going to go anywhere. Right now, like I said, and I've been saying it, it doesn't matter who the president is. It's the Senate that's going to hold everything up, and it didn't change, and nothing's going to change. Mitch McConnell is still going to do what he's done with Nancy Pelosi and, for all intents and purposes, Barack Obama. He's going to stall everything. Those 400 untouched bills that are sitting in the Senate will increase to 800 bills in the Senate. Tomorrow, very important Supreme Court on the Affordable Care Act. Did you know that 25 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act? It will be a total nightmare if something happens with that. It will be a scramble and chaos like we've never seen before. Stock market was up big today just on some news that we may potentially have a vaccine for COVID. Imagine when the vaccine really comes out, how much the stock market's going to explode exponentially when the first person is getting vaccinated, the very first day that they have millions available to the public. What's going to happen on this? This is just news. That vaccine is not going to be widely available for months. So mask up, everybody, because it's going to be a long winter. I guess in Europe, they cannot control the virus. It is growing exponentially. Here in the United States, too. North Dakota, South Dakota, all those states in the Midwest where they thought they had a lot of, room to breathe, it is growing exponentially. In Utah, the hospitals are full. The governor just gave its first mask mandate, 7 months too late. But let's hope that the masks work and that people hunker down again and only go out when they need to and they social distance. Okay, folks, so now, with no stimulus in the foreseeable future, because let's face it, Donald Trump is not going to do anything during this lame duck session. Nothing is going to get done. So if we're looking at stimulus, it's going to be in early February at the earliest. However, people have not gotten a boost to unemployment since some states the early September. Some of them are just on this PUA, this pandemic unemployment assistance, which is just a portion of unemployment. It's not that much money for a lot of people. So they having trouble paying their rents, buying food, paying their bills. They're just going into more and more and more debt. I don't see an end to this, really. I don't see an end to it. Theaters are not coming back. Restaurants are not coming back. In Massachusetts, the governor just put in another set of rules that went into effect on Friday. And now restaurants have to close at 9:30, and there's a curfew at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So the last customer needs to be served by 9:30. Restaurants are asking the governor for an extension, just 1 hour. They are very vigilant with the rules, and they say that it's not spreading in their establishments. We'll see if the governor makes a move. So far, if you like what you're hearing, please hit the like button and subscribe to this video. We're trying to grow this channel. It takes a lot of time to get everything organized and informed, and we would really appreciate it if you can do that. Today I thought I would talk about the Federal Reserve. A lot of people aren't quite sure what their role is, but I guess without stimulus coming from Congress, they're relying on the Fed to wave their magic wand and do what they've done for years. However, the Fed's hands are tied at this point. The interest rates are so low that the Fed can't lower them anymore. That's how the Fed manipulated inflation. They brought the interest rates down. The Fed is actually really bad for the United States. They have a blatant disregard for your dollars. What the Fed actually does is they control your buying power. They try to put a value on your money so that it can maintain the same purchasing power, pretty much. The Fed is not a clearinghouse. The Fed can't even print money. What happens is banks, based on Congress's bill, issue U.S. Treasuries, which are sold at auction. All right, so Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, they'll all go and buy the U.S. Treasury. The Fed buys the treasuries from these banks on the open market. And when the Fed buys them from the banks fill up their cash reserves so they can loan money out to people. They are dependent on volume of people wanting debt, right? That's how banks make money, and that's how the U.S. So when they issue PPP loans or they issue mortgages, it's all debt creation. And they rely on the demand for dollars at the banks, right? And the banks are supposed to distribute them. However, now the banks are being very picky. Let's face it, people haven't paid their mortgage in a really long time. Bankruptcies are so high right now, and mortgage forbearance and mortgages that are in arrears is at like 17.5%. So the banks are holding on to those reserves and they don't want to lend it out. And they're being really, really strict with who they give that money to. But having that money sit in a bank doesn't spur the economy. And that's the problem we're facing. Apparently there's a lot of money sitting at these banks and the banks aren't lending. And some of this money doesn't go into the banks, it goes into hedge funds. And they throw it into the stock market. And that's why the stock market is ever increasingly going crazy with, new surges. It's not individuals or institutions even buying in the stock market. It's Fed money that's not being loaned out, that's being invested, propping it up, making it a Ponzi scheme. Now there's been an uptick in bond yields, and this is a big concern. The bond market is so much bigger than the stock market, and there is so much debt. So every time debt is created, bonds are created, and people buy those bonds. But when those bonds are issued at 0%, who's going to, let's say a foreign investor is going to say, well, you want me to carry your debt, but you don't want to pay me for it. So they're going to try and start unleashing their debt. Because if they're not getting an interest payment, what's the point of them holding our debt for us? And a lot of countries will start selling and unwinding those debts. So as the world starts liquidating treasury bonds, what happens is the U.S. is the only buyer of that debt, thus creating inflation. I'm really worried, folks, about 2021. 2020, we survived. It wasn't an easy survival. And a lot of people are now on the verge of financial bankruptcy. They worked all their lives for nothing, and maybe, and in most cases it was the debt. that did them in. Well, now that COVID cases are rising too, we're going to enter a double dip recession because things will start closing again if it doesn't get a handle. Anyway, we'll go more into what the Fed does in my next video. I just thought it's really interesting how it works, what it does, and how the money enters the stock market and how the money enters the economy. You know, if you can recognize, if you have a job, good for you. But if you can recognize that 25 million people don't have a job, then I applaud you. Because to recognize that is to see that there's a problem in the United States of America. And it's not just the United States of America. It's all around the world. You should see what's going on in Tanzania. I'm going to leave that for another video. Okay, on that note, have a lovely evening, folks. It was my pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. And I appreciate you.